Good day, great and noble friend. Thank you so much for joining us a little earlier than normal, but we have things to do. We have appointments to make and stuff to do, and we're going to be here with you for an hour. And I want to thank you right off the bat. And let me just remind you some prefatory work in case you are brand new here to the Lionel Nation family. Make sure you are survived. Make sure you are subscribed. Make sure you are subscribed. Make sure you are hit. You're locked into place in the Lionel Nation subscriber column. I can't explain this enough. I can't explain this that critical. Make sure that you always like this video. Liking videos. I can't say this enough, and I'm sure you've heard it before to the point of exhaustion on other forums. It is so critical for you to like our videos, to like what we're doing, to understand that. Like that video. Also, make sure you're always subscribed to the channel. Hit that little bell so you're notified of live streams and new videos. And we have so much to talk about. We just right off the bat. Before we begin, I was reading something to you about this notion of disaster merchandising, disaster commerce. If you want to see what a country feels like, if you want to really understand what we're thinking, look at what is being sold. Look at what's happening around the world. Look at what people are buying. Look at what merchants are pushing. Look at what is permeating the commercial world and the commercial realm of our existence. The other day we talked about various supply shows selling gold and silver, and you're not sure what to do. And if somebody asked me, well, if I buy gold, well, what do I do with it? Do I have to keep it? Do they send it to me? Listen carefully. I've been having these folks as a sponsor for years. They are the best. Colin Plume, the owner of Noble Gold Investments, and I know you're inundated because everybody's doing gold. These folks are the best. If you have any questions regarding gold or silver or putting investment portfolios into into gold and silver IRAs, listen to this like you've never listened before. There's a revolution happening right above our heads. It's about to make silver more precious than ever. The sun's power is taking over the world. It's growing so fast, it'll be the biggest source of electricity by the 2030s. Solar. Here's the kicker. Every single solar panel needs silver to work. We're talking about a silver paste web in every panel, turning sunlight into power. Smart investors are already making their move, and that's where Noble Gold Investments comes in. With a silver IRA, you can surf this incredible wave of growth. It doesn't matter who sits in the White House or what Wall Street does. Solar power is unstoppable, and silver is its secret weapon. As the world goes green, your retirement could be going sterling silver. Don't let this opportunity slip through your fingers in 2024. Visit LionelNationGold.com. You may get up to 10 free, brand new 1-ounce silver Trump coins. Listen to that. Or a 10-ounce silver American flag bar with every qualifying IRA. That's LionelNationGold.com. And remember, there's always a risk of investment, and there's no guarantee of any kind. We are right now lucky to be in a system where we can talk to each other and know what's going on. Never before in the history of mankind have people been as connected as we are now. Never. By virtue of this platform, by virtue of this miracle called the internet, a series of tubes, as Ted Stevens once said. I can't say it enough. I can't put it into words, and I can't tell you that your parents, grandparents, maybe you a couple of years ago, would have had to have just waited to hear a little bit of news from maybe Newsweek, a little bit of news from the newspaper. Are you seeing what's happening? Are you seeing what's happening to Florida? Listen to what I am saying. And I've got to be very careful. I want you to listen to Uncle Lenny. Listen to me, my friend. Listen to me. The bigger a story is, the less you are able to discuss its truth. I've told you this before. Marshall McLuhan, listen, this should be one of your mantras. There are certain things, certain aphorisms, certain apothegms, certain bromides that I believe in with everything in my power. One is that history would be a wonderful thing if only it were true. So absolutely. History would be a wonderful thing if only it were true. History. Think about this. History, that which you believe to be true. History would be a wonderful thing if only it were true. What you think you know about history is anything but. What you think you know about the past is anything but. History is written by the victors. Napoleon said history is a myth that men agree to believe. Well, that's history. What's even more interesting is what's happening right this moment. I'm talking to friends growing up and seeing where I lived and seeing, they call it Tampa Bay, but Tampa Bay is that little inlet, little bay area on the West Coast. You've got the Gulf, you've got CP, Clearwater, Pinellas, that, and then inside you've got Tampa, Clearwater. It's kind of inside. You go to the Causeway, and there's the bay, and everything I knew, all of my friends, all my family, where we went, there it is, dead center, Bayshore Boulevard in Tampa, Davis Island, downtown, Channel. People are just, they're thinking this could be it. And when you live in Florida, you always have in the back of your mind, like when you live in San Francisco, the big one. Just a minute. The big one has yet to hit. The big one. Look at Ian. No audio? No audio. Sorry, Ian. No audio. There's no audio. Only for you, Ian. I turned it off just for you. Now, when you see this and you see these incredible, these unbelievable warnings, you see these eyes and you see this, it makes you realize, oh my God, this is not the time. This is not the time. But on various subjects, our Operation Cirrus, Popeye, weaponization, if you are not aware of everything that is there as to how, since the time of Johnson, Vietnam, steering hurricanes, if this is something that says, wait a minute, that's just too crazy. You can't control weather. If you're of that mindset, welcome to the shadow government. You are their prized possession. Look how they trained you. Look, they've trained you never to question. Remember when Marshall McLuhan said, this is my favorite. Let me go through this with you. Little lies are hard to keep secret. Little conspiracies, I think they're hard to keep secret. But big lies are easy. Why? Because of your incredulity. Think about what is easier to keep secret. Things like, oh, I don't know. That stuff, it doesn't matter. Loch Ness Monster. I don't even know if it's true. I mean, I've Sasquatch and all that. Or what if I were to tell you, as many people believe, as Joe Rogan believes, we never landed on the moon? Joe Rogan. How hard do you think? I love when people say, do you know how hard it would be for you to keep that quiet? It's the easiest thing in the world. Why? Because of our incredulity. No way. No. Stop. There's no way. No. Vietnam, the causes of that. JFK, Spanish-American War. Remember the Maine, Havana Harbor. The truth behind Watergate. Who were the people? The truth about Deep Throat. But no, that can't. That's not. Don't tell me. You mean that was? No, you're incredulous. You can't believe it. Something that big. How many people shall I go through that event that happened on the 11th day of the 9th month, 23 years ago? That had to be on the up and up. Why? Because it's so big. Because you can't pull something like that off. You can't. And for people to suggest that weather modification, earthquakes, tsunamis, fires, false flags, terrorist groups, creations of good guys. That can't be. That's nuts. And you say that because it can't be. Because there's also this part of you that says, they would have told me if it was true. They would have warned me if it was true. I can't. And are you saying I'm stupid? I should have known this. That's another reason. I was telling people for the longest time, and I'm going to do it right now. I was telling people about the idea of emergency food and generators and water and ammo. This is the link for My Patriot Supply. I'll never forget this. When I started this, people said, oh man, you're really all into this. All into what? Into that prepper stuff. I swear to you, I said, what are you talking about? Generators? Maybe I'm just, I don't know, raised in Florida. We saw those things. We saw, oh my God. When hurricanes would come, people would throw stuff into their pool. It was one of the things everybody did. You take all of your patio furniture, whatever you've got out there, and throw it in the pool because that will keep it from flying around because it was the stuff that hits you. Cardboard and everything. And I talked to them and I said, so anyway, so when I first started this, they said, what are the things you want to do? I said, I've always liked the idea of preparedness. And I've always liked kind of like a Jeremiah Johnson. I've always liked these people who, I don't know, these think it's kind of interesting, people who kind of live off the land. So there was this idea called preparewithlionel.com. And I go into people's homes. Yeah, sometimes, do you ever notice, and I hate when they do this, hey, let's go through the garage. There's a couple of things I don't like. Number one, I don't like a garage in the front of your house. Should be on the side. That's me. And number two, you should have a car in the garage. You're not crap. People don't have cars. They just don't. Sometimes you don't have room. But anyway, sometimes they'll go through. They'll say, hey, let's go through the garage. You ever do that? Come on, let's go inside. Let's go through the garage. And the garage door goes up. And you walk in there and you say, how long has this bike been here? How long has this pool table been here? What's in this filing cabinet? What's this canoe? I don't know. Oh, look, there's skates. There's all this crap you've got, like some weird, strange museum. And in one corner, you could have 4 or 5 of these these food containers for 25 years. They don't have them. They've got a freezer, and the freezer when it goes out. And I said this, you can have food. What? I'm only going to say this one more time. People are going crazy. You want to call it a disaster, whatever it is? Preparewithlionel.com. You got a special diet? How about food with 140 milligrams or less of sodium? They got that. How about 4 grams or less per serving of sugar? They've got that. Vegetarian? They got that. Soy-free? They got that. Vegan? They got that. Heavier in the protein? They got that. 6 grams or less of carbs? That's got that. How about I got to have dessert? Got to have dessert? They got it. Whatever you want. You could not possibly on your best days ever do this. I'm telling you right now, fate, God, whatever it is telling you, pay attention right now. It is coming. Preparewithlionel.com. That's it. I'm warning you. I'm also telling people, friends, make sure you do this. Unlike this. Did you see this nonsense?
You recently surprised people when you said that you are a gun owner.
Let me ask you something right now. Let me stop you right there. Stop. Do you ever have any kids? Of course not. You ever have kids, be around kids? Okay. Have you ever seen when a kid learns how to lie? You ever seen that? Lying is something that is one of the things that you've got to be very, very careful about, especially with kids. They're not a knucklehead when they lie. There's something very strange about this. Something very, very frightening about people who are themselves liars. Let me explain this to you. Sometimes kids will embellish a little bit. Sometimes when kids get in trouble, they'll make up a lie. And sometimes lying is kind of good. Shows, okay. I know one person who lies about stuff that doesn't even matter. Lying is the misrepresentation of fact with the intent to deceive. It's a legal definition. There was a case one time of a post-conviction relief, prosecutorial misconduct, and the guy says, "You're a liar," and the court really broke down what a lie was. It's very, very good. Second DCA case out of Florida. Very interesting. And when somebody lies, you have to do it in a way. And the first thing is this, remember this. You have to prepare the lie. If you're going to say something, you lie. O.J. Simpson lied. O.J. Simpson lied for so many years about being innocent that he kind of believed it. O.J. Simpson believed it because he said it with such facility. Some people are true, and psychopaths are not necessarily good liars, but normally you do it. There's a practice effect, and never try a lie on for the first time. Some people are such good liars; they have no tells because they're such flat affect. They'll tell you, no. And if you ever want to see this, watch as I do. This is Elvis saying, "Why do you do this?" I said, "I'm fascinated by people pulled over by the police and these body cams. I learned so much about human behavior. And one of them is, do you have a weapon? No. They seem so nice. And they end up getting, I want you to watch right now. Remember this. Nobody thought about telling Kamala, because I think secretly there's somebody in the palace. It's a palace coup, in essence, who want her gone and don't like her. But she was told, well, she was, how do I say this? She should have been told, okay, listen, you claim you have a gun now. And we're going to sit down and we're going to say, okay, here is a gun. What kind of gun do you have? What kind of gun do you have? Now, most people know what kind of gun you have. You know what model, and you know the caliber. You always say, the brand, whatever, and the caliber. And if you're really cool, you're going like a Colt, 1911 or whatever, 45 ACP. You don't get into that. Beretta 380, Glock, 9mm, whatever it is. And I wish somebody would have said, I'm handing you something. Imagine this is a police officer comes in with, let's say, a weapon, and the weapon is going to be made safe. And he says, I want you to, here's a pen, point to the safety. Where's the safety? That's what I would have done. But of course, this is CBS. Watch her lie when she's asked about her gun.
And then if someone came into your house,
that was not the first time I've
would
talked
get
about
shot.
it. That's not the first time I've.
You see how she is not comfortable with this. She doesn't believe this. She doesn't know anything about this. Nothing.
Talked about it.
So what kind of gun do you own?
Now here's the question: what kind of gun do you own? This obviously has to be rehearsed. Okay. Now watch her. Just do what I say. Okay. Listen to this carefully. Now watch her eyes. Watch her reaction. You're a juror. You're sitting in the box. You're watching her. Watch how she answers this question and see what you think. Okay. Whether she's telling the truth. Watch carefully.
When and why did you get it?
I have a Glock.
See that? I have a Glock. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I've had it for quite some time.
Yeah.
And I mean, look, Bill, my background is in law enforcement.
See, she's getting away from the subject. Let's look at it again. Tell me right now. Tell me if you believe anything she says. Watch the eyes. Watch the hesitation. Watch the certitude. Watch how she waffles on the truth. Listen carefully. Watch this.
I have a Glock.
Yeah.
And I've had it for quite some time.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, look, Bill, my background is in law enforcement.
Yeah, sure. Right.
And so there you go.
Yeah.
Have you ever fired it?
Yes. Of course I have.
No, she hasn't.
At a shooting range.
Uh-huh,
Yes,
yeah.
of course I have.
I don't believe a word of it. I don't believe a word of it. What shooting range? When? How many rounds in the magazine? Do you keep one in the chamber? Again, I'm handing you something right now. This is bring a police officer. This is, please don't touch this. And you have to slide back. What model Glock? What model? What caliber? They're pretty much the same. Glock's the same. You say it's a Glock. You have a police officer come back, slide back. You got that. You got the that catch there. You're going to slide back and you hold it up so you can look into it and make sure there's nothing in the magazine portion. You see now, where's the safety? Point to it. Where's the safety? That's why I love Berettas. But Berettas are great. They have clip safety. No clip, not worthless. You can have one in the chamber, doesn't matter. See, she's a liar. Let me also show you something. Have you ever seen one of the most beautiful things in the world? Have you ever seen, and I mean this, one of the most beautiful things in the world I've ever seen, and love to see, is a carpenter hammer or something. Have you ever seen this before? It's the most beautiful thing in the world. Have you ever seen this? The way they hammer. It's at the end. They don't choke up. They have the end of the hammer, and they can hit this thing. It's the most. Forget those guns. It is an art, and the way sometimes to watch a carpenter. I could watch this. I watch YouTube videos of carpenters. Just they're beautiful. You ever see somebody who knows how to use a spade or a shovel or a pick or a hoe? I know what you're saying. All these devices, because if you ever see somebody pick up a shovel by you tap the end and the handle comes up. First time I saw it, I thought that was so cool. I forget where I saw it. You hit the end and the handle comes up and you grab it because you know how to do it. Okay? Want you to watch Kamala here. She's a middle class person and a knucklehead. Okay? Listen to this. Watch this. Watch this carefully. And watch how she has never used a shovel in her life. Look at this. Watch this. Look what she's doing. What is she doing? She's like, scrape. You go, I don't know. Doug's okay with this. Look at old Doug. Doug knows what he's doing. I mean, a little bit. Doug, scoop it up. I don't know what she's doing. She's kind of moving stuff around. Everything she does is completely and totally phony. Everything she does. In the corner, in the midst of this, Foghorn Leghorn spoke some truth.
The last couple of days, the vice president goes on some show called Call Her Daddy or Call Your Daddy or Who's Your Daddy or something. Call Me Daddy. I like Who's Your Daddy better.
I bet you do.
And among other things, she's talking about tampons. The people in Appalachia right now don't give a function about tampons. They need water. They need to get out. I'm sorry. As I'll say it again, you cannot make this stuff up. But everything I just said is factual.
What do we do with this? How big is this? How important is this? It's hard for people to say. Let me see this. You may think it's not important. I think it's incredibly important. Because as I said, we have been given the opportunity to watch this. How about this bit of lying? Remember this one? Did you see Karine Jean-Pierre?
If he's got money for people in Lebanon right now, without Congress having to come back, what does it say about his values? There's not enough money right now for people in North Carolina who need it.
Isn't it something? You see, this is the beautiful thing. This is what I love. That makes more sense than anything you can imagine. That makes more sense. We never had the internet before. We never had it. I know you know that. We've never had the ability to explain what's going on. This is the thing that will resound forever. This moment here.
Daddy gang, to put it in our TikTok terms, I have seen girls on the street walk up to men and be like, do you know where a tampon goes?
She doesn't know what's happening. This might have been seriously, and I mean this literally, bruh. Literally, bruh. I don't think you understand how stupid this was and how this dingleberry, whoever's hosting this, and by the way, she does, listen, let me explain to you something right now. I don't care whether you call her daddy. It's a show. It is valid if people want to watch it. If that's the entertainment, I like to see new performance. I love these little sets. They have little tchotchkes in the background. Call her daddy. Look at this set. It's like a waiting room, like a dermatologist. You should have like some magazines, you know, the nurse behind her who pulls back the window. We'll see you now, but that's okay. I have no problem with Call Her Daddy or the show. That's not it. What was the mentality that ever said, let's put a woman who wants to be the president on the show? Listen to this.
Do you know how many tampons we use? Do you even know how, do you know what
Now, these comments, look at this, Alex, in all seriousness, look in your comments compared to anything Trump does on any show. This is the reality of the country. Have Kamala walk into any football stadium. See how that goes compared to Trump. If you're on his team, you're in the minority. This not only did this Alex chickie feel the wrath of this, but
X or Y or Z is of a part of our, and they don't know the answer.
I was the first vice president or president
Read these.
ever in office.
Can you see this, by the way? Can you see? I hope you can read these comments. They're brutal.
Go to a reproductive health care.
Look at this dude. You got 4,000 likes. Hope the money Kamala gave you was worth it. Clown show. I like everybody's a dude, male, female, doesn't matter.
Clinic ever.
This is beautiful. This is we you can't believe this. Crypto Domini says, "Who is your daddy and what does he do?" I'm back, daddy. Oh, I'm back, baby. Excuse me. I know. Raul, what was that about? By the way, it was lovely seeing your beautiful daughter. I wish her well. I hope she's not a stranger. Don't look at me, bruh. Literally, bruh. Okay, bruh. Look, I don't know where to even start. I write notes and I never get to the notes because I have so little time to talk to you. 27 days until the election. I want you to understand something. I don't know why they're doing this. I don't understand any of this. Literally. I've been watching too many cop shows. I don't understand any of this. She is headed for a political disaster of epic proportions. I have been reading, you know that I can't talk about everything here that I can talk about elsewhere on my private channel or whatever, because we live under algorithmic limitations. The worst is Facebook. I put up an ad, not an ad, but a piece I used for Prepare with Lionel, especially for friends of mine in Florida. And they said, these claims are, they said, this is a warning. I'm thinking, I didn't make any claims. It's an ad. What are you talking about? It's like they have these algorithms that spot things and they don't know why they did it. Why is this okay? Why is it? I don't understand it. Have you noticed sometimes some people can say things and others can't? I was listening the other day to probably the most either courageous or insane person on social media today, Max Blumenthal. Either he's the most courageous or insane. Absolutely insane. And I'm listening to this and I'm thinking, okay, God bless you. I'm not saying you're wrong, but I can't figure out how algorithmic trends work. I don't know. I don't know where to even start. Because I live in this world where I'm always trying to educate people before I say something. Let me go back to what I said before about the idea of weather modification. Weather modification is something which people have the hardest time even grasping. I don't know why. Crypto Domini, see, that's what's happening in this super chat. Bots. Well, whatever. But you should do your best to deal with them accordingly, if that makes any sense. Does that make sense? Am I making sense? Just saying. Hang on. Yeah, hang on a minute. Let me see something. I wanted to show you about something which is very, very important. I want to go back to something else. Please forgive me, my mind is scattered this morning. I want to explain this to you. Maybe you have this. Maybe you have the hardest thing sometimes for me to do is to try to take what I'm thinking and to point something out to you and say, here is the thought. One time at the Bronx Zoo, or they had this butterfly exhibit or something. I think it was a Bronx Zoo. They had this butterfly exhibit or something, and you walked in, and literally, bro, there were like butterflies everywhere, things flying around, and you saw it, or either you were in it or you saw it. But this person walked in, and they had butterflies, viceroys, and monarchs just flying. I mean, it was just. And they went, some would land and some would take off. And of course, you didn't swat them or anything, but it was just this overwhelming, just covered in butterflies. It was a beautiful thing. And I thought, that's the way I feel. That's the way I feel all the time. That's my brain all the time. That's my brain all the time. When I walk, when I speak to you, since I can remember, I want you to imagine this. It's hard to explain. Imagine you're in a movie theater and there's two screens. The screen on the left or right, whatever you want, is what's going on now. It's where you are, what you're doing. You're driving, you're talking, you're tying your shoes, you're working, you're playing golf, whatever you're doing. This is reality. On the other screen is what you're thinking. And that's the fun one. All of a sudden, I'll think of a regret, something I haven't seen. Hey, whatever happened to? Here's a song I don't know about. What about this? Smallpox. Why is it? It's being in the room with the butterflies. They're just, you're swarmed with them. And the more you know, and the more you read, the more butterflies, the more distraction, the more to think, the more, I see. Everything is connected. I didn't have this when I was a younger person. Life was very, very simple. I didn't really particularly care. I don't know if you're the same way. Nothing was really that complicated. Now it's exceedingly complicated. Now, multitasking. I'm Eric Bren with these plates. There's so much I've learned in the past 25 years. I'm a completely different person. I don't fit in. So then I go from the world of the butterflies and this being immersed in fact, history, thoughts. Today, the Nobel Prize for Physics was announced. See? And when you talk to people, they will tell you, you jump from subject to subject, or I wish you'd say one thing. And I'm saying, do you understand what's happening? We're in a room. Do you see all these butterflies around you? Do you not see this? Can you focus on one? Did you ever go to an aquarium? Remember when you go to like a pet land and you used to buy a fish and you say, that one, no, that one, no, that one. And the guy's got the little scooper. He goes, this one? No, that one. No, that one. That one. That's life. There is so much going on right now. We have race and sex and politics and history. We have crime. We have society. We have music. We have art. Never forget that. We have the media. We have theories. And then from this group of people, you and I come out of nowhere, and we also come along. And we are let out into the world of the most unimaginative people you've ever thought in your life. You've never seen anything as unimaginative as the people we have to deal with. That's my life. Not with you, mind you. Okay? Bum. Love you, Uncle Lenny. I'm not going to bump anybody. I'm sorry, I don't have a lot of time to read things that people are saying, because it'd be the worst chat. Because remember, most people, crypto, are listening and they're not reading, chats. So they don't know what's going on. And for me to stop and say, hey, Joe, hey, Bots, hey, Joe, hi, Jerry. I mean, there's nothing worse than that for people listening. Information is available. So what? Government does nothing. Trump couldn't get a wall. What makes you think he will make a difference this time? Don't know. Don't know. I want you to imagine this, Brad. Imagine this. You're in the hospital. A loved one of yours is very ill. I'm the doctor. And I come in and say, listen, let me ask you a question. Now, I can pretend we can do all this surgery. You know the survival rate of this? Next to nothing. And if and max, your relative will get maybe 5 years alive, but that doesn't mean free from dialysis. And so what's the purpose? What are we doing this for? Seriously, what are we doing? Brad, why do you want to exercise? What do you what do you add years to your life? How much? You know who died the other day? A marathoner. Yeah, he died. Think about that. Spent all his life running marathons and he died in the 80s. That guy over there died of an 82, but he's a fat guy who smoked. So should we bother with anything? Should we bother working out? Why should we bother? What's the point of this? Doesn't matter. We're not in charge, right? We're not in charge. Are we in charge? This is a waste of time, right? Why don't we just sit back and say, you know what? Let's just run, let them do it, because none of this matters anyway. Whether they control the weather or not, Operation Cirrus and all that. Okay, I don't want to hear about that. Geoengineering. I'm going to stop with this business. Who killed John Kennedy? Who cares who killed John? What are you talking about? Nobody cares about this, right? Crypto says, I share the same experience when I began narration training. Oh, narration training? Then my first marathon was the hottest in record, people falling out like flies. I guess you meant marathon, or maybe you maybe you were narrating marathons. No, but Brad, thank you, Crip. But Brad, it's a good point. Why should this bother? And I love things like that. What's the point? What's the point of anything? What's the point of anything? Why bother? Why do we care? I'll tell you why I bother. Because I love the fight. I love this. I love the butterflies. I love to go in and be inundated. You have no idea. I am seeing this right now. All of my peers, high school buddies and the like, they are retired. And I automatically see this. I promise you, they are going to find out one time that life or death or whatever it is, at the very end of your life is when it took you all this long to get this smart. When I mean smart, not smart, but know a lot in judgment. And I swear to you, I hear it all the time. This, well, we're going to go up to Bucks County this week. Well, that's okay if you're 70 years old. I've got people 20 years old saying this. I don't have time for them. I love the fight. I love the intellectual exercise. I love learning new things. I love learning a new poet, a new song, I love new music. I love new experiences. I love thinking things that how do we say this? How do I explain these things? Yesterday, Mrs. L and I were listening to there's a musician, a singer, Carly Pearl. She's part of the thing with Dax. Have you heard Dax and all this sobriety music? It's the most wonderful thing in the world I've ever seen. All these young people are talking about sobriety and staying off the bottle because more people are whacked on booze than you can imagine. I thought that was great news. It's another butterfly. It's another thing to think about. It's another what have you. Right now, this is the most important thing in the world. There are so many great things going on, and nobody really gets to it. Weather modification is the most fascinating subject in the world. And here's the best part. This is a phone, of course, but imagine saying, now listen, I want you to sit down for a moment. Okay. I'll make you a cup of tea, cup of coffee. Sit down this nice chair. And I want you to type in this device, weather modification. And what I'll do is I'll give you something like Operation Popeye or Operation Cirrus. Just go there. And one thing will pop up. There's a picture of Lyndon Johnson giving a speech about changing weather patterns. This was in 1960, whatever it was. Do you understand? Do you understand? I love leaving people's vocabulary. Leaving people's vocabulary? You want to leave it? What does that mean? You want to leave people's? Okay. Maybe you might learn. I don't know. Crypto is always a clue. It's like, did he mean that? Sometimes when you do dictation, which I like to dictate, sometimes you can learn a little bit of an analog as to ADHD because your device will hear something different or spell it and you, oh, that's a great pun, or I didn't realize that. Or you like the mistake better, or sometimes you just make a mistake. And with crypto, they call them crypto for a good reason because it's cryptic. In any event, put this in, Lyndon Johnson, Operation Popeye Series, boom, geoengineering, boom. And just sit back and then see this right there. You would have never been able to do this in the public library. You would never, the Dewey Decimal System, it doesn't exist. You've got this device. You can say, holy, look at this. They've been talking about weather. I know. One time years ago, a while back, somebody was saying, what is all this not landing on the moon business? Okay. I said, you got a minute? Yeah. Let me show you something. I got my iPad. iPad's the greatest device in the world. So here, watch this with me. And I found one of my favorite, kind of the best comprehensive videos. This is what they're saying. I'm not necessarily subscribing to this, but here's why people are saying this. After this little piece was over, he looked at me and like, I had no idea. Precisely. Don't you love knowing things? I love knowing things. Don't you love when somebody all of a sudden says, I didn't know. You know what Joe Rogan does, which is the most important? The most important thing he does. Listen to what I'm saying. The most important aspect of his show and the most important trait of his show, the most important, is very simply this. He loves to be fascinated. He loves to be like, wow. And that's one of the things when kids teach you things, they ask you questions. Why? This is the chance to sit down and say, that's a great question. Try explaining to a kid why the sky is blue. Try it. Let's see how good you are. Talk about a light absorbing at the blue spectrum. Good luck. Good luck. Is the sky blue? No. Why? Because the space is behind it and it's black and it's dark and why is it blue? Anyway, but just one time somebody asked a question. I'll never forget this. When they were seeing pictures of moon landings, he said, why are there no stars? And somebody said, don't ask that question. Don't ever say that. My friends, I want you to know that what you will learn from me, if Uncle Lenny can teach you something, has nothing to do with the subject matter. It's the tangential subject. It's the thing that I say on the side. It's the thing that makes you say, that's what I want. I want to leave you every day with a That's it. That is the spark. That's it. George Keane says, you and Mrs. L must win bar trivia every week. No. Some arcane stuff, indeed. From yesterday, call your daddy, comedy goal. Thank you. I appreciate that. You cannot sit here. And I always ask the question, how would I talk to Kamala? Did you see Pete Ducey? There's one thing I learned which was absolutely inseparable. Or not inseparable, but incomparable, I should say. When you're doing trial stuff and you're talking to witnesses, and believe me, they're so. The hardest thing to do is to ask a question and know when to sit down. There's a fellow named Irving Younger. Today, look up Irving Younger on cross-examination. He was the greatest of them all. The greatest trial practitioner ever. And one of the things that they never do, the dude on 60 Minutes, Pete Ducey, they never follow up. They never follow up, and sometimes they don't know when to sit down. And the best is they always say in trial law, never ask a question you don't know the answer to. And that's oftentimes misunderstood into don't let a witness go on, and it's like they're wrong with that. Look at this, my friends. All Alone Prepper, Tennessee says, made it to 55-year-old today. Hugs you, Mrs. L, for all your hard work. Love you, bro. Seriously. All Alone, happy birthday. Everybody stop. Send your love to All Alone Prepper. All Alone. I love that prepper. PrepareWithLionel.com. Send your love to him. Birthdays. I think birthdays are kind of great. One of my favorite birthdays was one time my mother sent me, it was very nice. She always was. She goes, I'm going to send you and your little friends to a birthday. But I said, I don't want to go to a birthday. No, we went to these things. One time, Burger Chef went to Burger. You don't remember Burger. Burger Chef was big in the South. I kind of liked it better. It was interesting. Then there was a Jerry's on Southdale Mabry. Jerry's. And they brought me a cake, said, happy birthday, Greg. It was one of the funniest things. Everybody was laughing. Happy birthday, Greg. First time I took a guitar lessons ever. Robert's Music on Nebraska Avenue. Guy named John Kay used to play with Bill Haley in the Comets. That was the guitar teacher. Takes out a book. It's a music book. And he says, okay, Greg. I got another Greg. What's with the Greg? The best is Mrs. L. Thank you, Crypto. The best is Mrs. L. She gets every name, every name under the Penny. That's my favorite. CVS, Penny. Penny, who's Penny? Have you been getting all these staffing things like, hi, I'm so-and-so from Geffen Records. I understand you're looking to make extra money. Hey, I'm so-and-so. Are you getting scam numbers? Don't answer them. Here you are. Don't answer them. Brad Rung says Sigourney Weaver, 75. Comedian Chevy Chase, 81. Civil rights activist Jesse, 83. Paul Hogan, 85. Happy birthdays. Isn't that something? Sigourney Weaver. Chevy Chase, out of his mind. Out of his mind. Jesse Jackson. Have you seen Paul Hogan? Paul Hogan had all that work done in his eyes. Oh, dear God. Oh, dear God. Dear God. In any event, did we say happy birthday to Prepper? Did we do it? That's good. Good. So anyway, the good news is, going back to what we were talking about initially, is that I'm going to be talking to all my friends today in Florida. It's going to be something that they don't want to hear about this now. But I guarantee you, if there was a way for somebody to ever say, we know how to fix these things, we know how to change weather. And these are the people who talk about climate change. Isn't that funny? As long as I live, I will never understand how people like Greta Thunberg and these other dingbats never cared the least about how we were spraying things into the air. Geoengineering and the like, but they talk about other stuff in terms of climate change. Paul H., now that's a knife to cut cake with. There we go. Remember how also those poor folks in the world of Aussies were forever affected by this. Shipping the Barbie and all that. And anyway, back to square one in peroration. Number one, first of all, Trump is going to win. Number two, It is suspected that there will be lawsuits probably afterwards, up to and including January 20th. Number 3, all of the numbers are showing decisive changes in critical states. Number 4, we don't understand why Kamala is doing something as stupid as going on Ask Your Daddy, Who's Your Daddy? Nobody understands it. Nobody gets it. Trump's on with Lex Friedman, Trump's on with Theo Vaughn, and at least talk about whatever it is. Listen, Kamala could have gone on and said, it's important for you, and by the way, I don't want to be a killjoy, and I love you. Speaking of climate, where's Al Gore? And did he and Tipper ever finally? Anyway, I would go on to her show if I was Kamala and say it's important that young people know that they have a participatory duty to change the course of the world. These are the issues that affect you: war and climate in the future, and and abortion rights and the right. You can talk about abortion. You can talk about Dobbs. You can talk about the Supreme Court. Talk about the Constitution. Talk about something. But for her to go on and yuck, and talk about tampons, and I love the way all of a sudden, this is the weirdest thing in the world. Have you ever met, ladies, you know this, have you ever met Supermom? All of a sudden, there's a woman who comes along and she says, I'm a mom, and she becomes Supermom, and she walks around, with that, she's a breastfeeder, and she's grinding the food for the kid, and she walks around with that papoose thing, and she's Supermom because she's the first person ever to have a child, the first person ever to breastfeed, the first person. How about women who go through menopause for the first time? I'm the first. Nobody's ever been through menopause before. What? Never. I'm a menopause, and I'm telling you, women, you have nothing to worry about. About what? About menopause. Who cares about menopause? No, you don't understand. Don't live in the shadow and the shame. Who's living in the shame? No, you don't understand, because I can't get over the fact that I'm not some chippy anymore and I'm menopausal. So I'm going to go out and share my insight. We don't need insight. Yes, you do. You don't understand. It's menopause, and there's something to be ashamed about. I'm not ashamed. Yes, you are. You don't understand. You're living in shame. I'm not ashamed. Yes. And that's why this Who's Your Daddy or whatever, Alexis, she's talking about tampons. It's like, did you just figure this out? Is that the beginning and the end of your vaginal os? Your introitus? Is that it? Is that what means something to you? All right, George Keane, thank you so much. You're a good man. Says Timmy get reelected as Minnesota governor after his exposure? Yes, because Minnesota is a bunch of knuckleheads, as it were. So, Brad, let me see. Georgie, thank you so much. You're a great man. Brad Rung, Crypto, thank you. All Alone Prepper, happy birthday, bro. Or bruh. What's the bruh? Sis, I guess maybe. Sis Boomba, thank you for that. All of you. Raul, welcome back. Welcome back. Your dreams were just together. Paul Sebastian or John Sebastian. What was it? Welcome back. Why are you singing like that? All right. Talk to you tonight at 7 p.m. Don't forget, a lot of videos coming up during the day. Thank you so much for being with us. Have a great and glorious day. Remember, Trump's going to win. Vote, 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 vote. Remember, Noble Gold. But right now, my friends, as I said very quickly, as I got to wrap this up, preparewithlionel.com. Go listen to what I've said. 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 Listen to all of the admonitions and the like that I've told you about. And also, my dear friends, remember LionelNationGold.com, because people were asking the other day, how do I get gold? What do I do? Do I keep it? Can I? Whatever you'd like, they'll help you. All right, dear friends, have a great and glorious day. God bless America. And don't forget, the monkey's dead. The show's over. Sue ya. Da-da.